We break down the top 5 storylines entering Chicago Bears training camp next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. And ladies and gentlemen, we are here. Chicago Bears training camp is finally starting up. The season is finally amongst us. So finally we can get back into the swing of things, get ready for the Chicago Bears football season. I am so excited for it, guys. And so today we are breaking down the 5 storylines entering this training camp. And then tomorrow I'll record an episode going through the 5 position battles. I wanted to separate these out because we have a lot of position battles going on, and we have a lot of storylines going on as well. So I wanted to separate these out. So you want to make sure that you like and subscribe if you're watching out there on YouTube. But also you can find the Unbearable Sports Podcast anywhere that you get your podcast. Just search for Unbearable Sports. We're also almost to our 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, so thank you everybody that has subscribed. We are almost there to $100 that I will donate over to the American Diabetes Association. So with that, let's get started. So there's already been a lot of news this day, and to start things off, we signed one Riley Reiff. Of course, it's a day right after I record the offensive line episode, but we have now added 2 offensive linemen in the past 2 days that we both expect to start. So really for me, Riley Reiff, I like this signing. Riley Reiff has been a solid offensive tackle throughout his years in the NFL, primarily a left tackle. We still don't know. They said during the press conference, they still don't want to say what position he would be, whether it's left or right. I have him as right tackle right now on my graphic. But honestly, I think he's going to probably play left tackle, to be honest, because that's really where he's strived. And I think, too, with our Larry Borum and Tevin Jenkins situation, those guys are really more right tackles in my mind. Keep them there. Have Riley Reiff play that left tackle. And what I love about it, too, is that now that you bring him in, you can give Braxton Jones an extra year. And you can tell Braxton, like, listen, we love you. It's just going to be another year, and then this is your job. And I love this kind of stopgap tackle. And now this position, it's not like it's a strength, but I think when you look at the offensive line, it feels average, which is what you want. Schofield is an average player. Reiff is very average, maybe a little bit better. And I like it. I think that you've just kind of upgraded, and now you're just hoping for solid play out of either Tevin Jenkins or Larry Borum. Most likely it's going to be Larry Borum, but I'm kind of rooting for Tevin Jenkins because I want to see it out of him. But let's go into the top 5 storylines, and we're just going to continue off of this. It's really the first storyline is, will the Bears actually add more players? Because they've already added 3 total players recently. So we added Michael Schofield at the right guard spot, Riley Reiff at the tackle spot, kind of solidifying that. And I don't really think we're going to add anybody else. We have a lot of rookies that I always get nervous when you leave them out on the practice squad. We have a lot of young backups that I think are going to stay on this roster. So that's why I don't think we really need to bring anybody else unless we really think Larry Borum and Tevin Jenkins are that bad. Then we have other problems. But then also we added in N'Keal Harry as a wide receiver. But the reason why will the Bears add more is my number one storyline is because what about the wide receiver? And what about the Sam linebacker? The linebacker position, when we broke down that area, we're weak. We don't have a lot of players at that linebacker position. And if one of them goes down or one of them holds out, which we'll go through a little bit later, we don't have a lot of talent. We don't have a lot of people, a lot of talent there. And right now, there's still a good amount of linebackers still available. Joe Schobert from Pittsburgh, solid player. A.J. Johnson, a very good player, very good run-focused player. Quan Alexander, Reggie Ragland, Anthony Hitchens, Dante Hightower. So there's a good handful of players that you can at least bring in. Even an Alec Ogletree as a backup, I don't mind. So I'm curious if they're going to bring somebody in if they don't like the competition. Because right now it's Matt Adams, Joe Thomas, or Jack Sanborn. So you have Joe Thomas, who has really not shown anything, just been a very type of player, and you'd like to upgrade at least that position. So that's why I think, are we going to add somebody else going forward? And wide receivers, there's Julio Jones just got signed like 15 minutes ago, but Will Fuller is still available. T.Y. Hilton, Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders, Alan Hearns, Deshaun Jackson, Danny Amendola, Odell, Adam Humphries, D.D. Westbrook. There's a good handful of wide receivers still available if they don't think N'Keal Harry's the guy, or if they don't think Bayless is the guy yet. They could still potentially add some talent around Justin Fields. So something that isn't that crazy, but still something for us to at least look out for. Now, storyline number 2, the Robert Quinn saga. We have to talk about this. Robert Quinn was not at OTAs, but he is reportedly in the building for training camp. So we don't know if he's going to be participating. I really hope he is. We just know that he's in the building, and that's good because that means that he's at least showing up. If he wasn't there, it's pretty much, hey, you got to trade him. Now that he's in the building, we need to watch, is he practicing? Is more details going to come out about why he was holding out? We talked about this before. He could literally just show up and be like, yeah, I do my own training regimen and you guys blew it out of proportion. So it could literally be that. So for us, we'll just be monitoring some trade rumors. We want to see him meet with the media, see how he answers some of those questions, and is he actually playing out there? So Poles also mentioned that he hasn't discussed with Quinn about being traded at all. So if he's reporting and if he's like, yeah, everything's all good, we're totally going to forget about that he never was at OTAs or anything like that. And he's just going to play for the Chicago Bears this season, which honestly, I'm fine with. Yes, I would like to see them trade him and get some draft capital at his kind of peak, if you will, because I don't think that he's going to reproduce what he did last year. But if he can come back and you have a good player and he can sack Aaron Rodgers a couple times, sign me up for that. So we'll see, and we'll just kind of check to see what Robert Quinn is going to be doing this year. But number 3, and this is where I got nervous. I got scared a little bit. I know depending on who you ask, some people are totally fine with this, but the Roquan Smith hold-in. So for those that might be living under a rock, Roquan Smith is doing a hold-in, as they call it, where basically he's going to be at camp. He's just not going to practice. So with this, he wants a contract extension, which we've heard they were working on over the offseason, but as reported by Ian Rappaport, that Smith has not received an offer that yet he would remotely consider. So we're really far off if he's not even going to remotely consider any of these options. So to me, I get a little bit nervous. And the reason why I get a little nervous and the reason why I want to learn a little bit more about this is this kind of reminds me a little bit of an Allen Robinson sort of situation where Allen Robinson wanted $20 million. He wanted $21 million. And the Bears came in and said, hey, listen, we'll get you like 17 or 18, and that's the best that we're going to do. So I just get nervous because this reminds me of what happened with Allen Robinson, where the two weren't there. Because this is the big question. You need to ask yourself, is he a top 5 linebacker? Because if Ryan Poles thinks he's a top 5 linebacker, he deserves top money. He deserves to break the bank. The Bears did that with Eddie Jackson back in the day. Right or wrong, they thought he was a top 5 safety, so you pay them like the top player. And this kind of brings up this, what do the Bears think of Roquan Smith? We've talked about this as you have a London Fletcher where he gets a lot of stats. He's good, very good, but is he elite like a Patrick Willis? So this is a big discussion. We talked about this, that Roquan Smith is highly disrespected. So if they think that he's London Fletcher, he's going to get paid like London Fletcher, not Patrick Willis, not as a future Hall of Famer. So it's something definitely to monitor, because I think if you give him a record-breaking contract, which he deserves, then you you now are saying this guy is the cornerstone of this defense and this is what we want. But if you don't, now Ryan Poles has to make a decision. Do you trade him or do you just say, well, we'll pull an Allen Robinson and we'll franchise tag you after the end of this season? So it's something definitely to monitor. And that's why, to me, makes me a little bit nervous because this could be a controversy. Hopefully over the next couple days, they smooth it all out. But next, fourth storyline here. This is where it got a little bit interesting because I don't want to give you guys just the baked, canned answers Roquan is pretty canned. But I didn't want to just say the offense needs to look better. What's the offensive line going to look like? I'm going with is David Montgomery going to be traded? Now, this might sound like absolute crazy talk, but for those that follow us out on Twitter, I posted this out that I was recently on a show, the TSS Fantasy Show, where Mikey Betts, who covers, he's with Barstool Sports, he has his own betting show, and he brought this up that he has a couple sources close to him have told him that David Montgomery might not be on the team week 1. Now, when I posted this, there's a lot of fans of Mikey that came to his defense and said, listen, Mikey does not miss. This is something that when he's got a source and when he knows something, he knows something. So say what you will or express doubts because, but honestly, I think that this is where it gets a little bit interesting. This is the final year of his deal and Khalil Herbert looked great. And you also have a good stable of running backs. So to me, I wouldn't mind this as well because running backs are a dime a dozen. It sounds like they have met in the offseason, that they talked about a contract extension, but obviously no deal has been done. So this could be his last preseason. If Mikey is right, he would be traded for maybe a 3. We'll see it. Maybe the Bills would be a perfect destination for him, but it's something to at least monitor because why aren't we talking about his extension? We're all focused on Roquan Smith's extension rather than David Montgomery. So a very interesting storyline just to pay attention to. I want to see Montgomery in this offense selfishly because he's put up with crap with the last 3 years. I just want to see it. I just posted on YouTube the David Montgomery highlight film, and man, is he good. So it'd be nice to see him with an actual competent running offense, but it's something to definitely monitor. If Mikey's saying that this could be a reality, it's coming from somewhere, definitely. So let's go to our final training camp storyline, and that is, where is Bayless Jones? Not like he's holding out, but where is Bayless Jones going to be lining up in this offense? I know that I've listened to a lot of Chicago Bears talk, and I know some people are already like, he's the number 2 wide receiver. Honestly, you hear a lot that he's kind of moving around all over the place, that he's lining up at running back. He's kind of that Cordero Patterson type of role. That's what I want to see because I don't think he's going to be the number 2. I don't think he's going to be the number 3. I think he's going to be a chess piece. That's what a lot of people are saying that have watched the practice. So to me, going into training camp, I want to see where is he lining up. I want to see how are they using him because he can be a weapon. You get the ball in his hands, he can make some people miss and make some big plays. So is he going to be a wide receiver? Is he going to be a chess piece? Lining up with the 1s, lining up with the 2s, lining up at the running backs. But also the big reason why I wanted to bring this up too is because if they felt confident in Bayless Jones Jr. as a wide receiver, then why did they add N'Keal Harry? Byron Pringle is a proven guy that as your number 3, number 2, you feel okay with. So that's why I think that they brought in N'Keal Harry, and that's why I really do think Bayless Jones Jr. might be that chess piece, but it's something definitely to monitor. So let me know what you guys think of the training camp, and are you going to be at training camp? I'm still figuring out if I'm going to be there on Thursday or Friday. I'll definitely post something, and if you're there, we can maybe meet up. So guys, thank you so much. Like I said, tomorrow I'm going to be releasing another episode breaking down the position battles. So make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening out there for the podcast. Make sure to rate it 5 stars. And thank you guys so much. and see ya.